You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
And as always, thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 412 of the podcast. And in this episode, Maryland women's basketball is back, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm super stoked for it. Before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. In this episode, we're previewing the season. We're recapping their win against UMBC and previewing the game as they play Coppin State tomorrow, which is Thursday. We're also talking about, in the next episode, the men's basketball team as they defeated Manhattan. The last two videos should have went up today. The Baltimore Ravens recap and the Washington Commanders recap. WNBA mock draft 1.0 for the 2025 draft class will be recorded tomorrow, and that will go up sometime, if not the same day, Friday at the most. The article will be written is almost completed. It will be written on TeamNBSMedia.com. The link is in the description below. Also, too, you can follow me on MarylandSportsblog.com as this will be my third season covering the Maryland women's basketball team. Thank you to Rose DePaula for the opportunity for allowing me to cover this basketball team. Greatly appreciative of the opportunity. And again, thank you for the support you're giving me in this channel. It's much appreciated. Continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into it. After a tough first round loss to Iowa State, I think that last year's team is a definite example of the cardiac kids. When you look at the way we were, they got criticized, and some of it I think was unjust. I think some of it was a bit much, especially when you're reading that Coach Freeze tried to go out there in the portal and get players, but because of NIL and other things that played a factor. So you got to make lemons with what you have, lemonade with what you have. So, I mean, in fairness, like, you have to give that team credit because most teams would have just thrown in the towel. The Big Ten tournament, I think, was some of the best basketball they played. I'm proud of all of them. And even that season, I mean, we lost Riley Nelson to an injury that was she was off for the season. Lavender Briggs got hurt. And those things had to be taken into consideration. Cheyenne Sellers got hurt. And again, also too, like, I think we were expecting the Elite Eight run the year before and understanding that this was going to be different. So I think last year was kind of the transition that even though we did not exceed expectations, there's still a lot to be proud of. And that team last year is one of my favorites. It's really weird that they're not on the team this year, like Brene Alexander, Lavender Briggs. Faith is now transferred to Seton Hall. Riley's now at Duke. Hawa, the boy is now at Virginia. It's really weird that they're not on the team, but I wish them all the best in their journeys and future endeavors. All great players. Still, they should definitely be proud of what they've done as playing for the University of Maryland women's basketball team. But when you look at this offseason, Coach Freeze brought in 7 transfers. Sailor Poffenberger, Arkansas, Sarah Tibiasu, VCU, Christina Dulce from Villanova, Kaylee Schmeichel from Rutgers, Mira McLean from Virginia, Amari DeBerry from UConn, and then we got Isame Ozzy Mamadou from Gulf Coast University, JUCO ball player. I think that's great. I think those were 7 great transfers. The biggest thing we addressed was definitely rebounding, got size, shooting, and more depth. And that's not including our freshman class. I think this is arguably the best freshman class, I would say arguably since when Bree came in. I'm talking about as of recent. Bree McDaniel, Kendall Walker, Ava McKinney, Brianna Williams. I think those 3 are going to be bright for the University of Maryland since, this will be this will be Shy's last year as a Maryland Terrapin. And I think those 3 will do great things. When you do look at the season, a couple things you have to take into consideration. I think that this roster has Final Four written all over it. When you have 10 new players, I'm going to emphasize this again when we talk about the game against UMBC. They're going to need time to gel. And then it's not going to be a month. When you looked at the first game of the season for a lot of schools, there's some chemistry work as well. So the Big Ten, now that Caitlin Clark's now with Indiana Fever, Big Ten's looking a little different now. We got to face UCLA, USC. I'm not afraid of those schools. Oregon, Washington. I think we'll be ready for them. And, I'm really looking forward to the UCLA game. I think USC comes to Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. Looking for that game. Juju Watkins, USC, shout out to Juju. Kiki Arifin, shout out to them as well. So I think even Kiki Rice, get to see them as well in the Big Ten. Excited for them. Our non-conference schedule is a bit interesting. Obviously, we're going to talk about UMBC and Coppin State. We get to face Taos University, again, St. Francis, Mount St. Mary, and William & Mary. That should be an interesting game. And we also will play George Mason in Annapolis on the 30th and the December 1st, and the Navy Classic. And we also have a revenge game. We're playing the University of Texas, the Coretta Scott King tournament. And I'm ready for that game. I wish I had a clip, but I don't have a clip for it, but that's okay. But yeah, this roster, I think, is going to be looking pretty good. And I think they're going to finish right. I think they're going to finish second, maybe third in the Big Ten. I still think, you got the Ohio State, with Kylie McMahon. I think it's going to be great. Don't sleep on Notre Dame. One biggest thing is, can they stay healthy? I think really, don't sleep on Iowa. I think Iowa will still be a competitive ball club. So it's definitely a transition for them. Lisa Bluter is now gone, retired. So Big Ten will be definitely interesting to see for sure. But I'm excited for it. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to talk about the win against UMBC, and we'll be right back. Righty, and game one of the season, which was interesting for, I will say, when you kind of look at the final score and look at the stats. But in all seriousness, the University of Maryland women's basketball team defeated the UMBC Retrievers 74-32. Okay. A couple things. I want to start on UMBC side. So UMBC saw some changes this year. Coach Hayes, who's been with UMBC the last 5 years, her contract was not renewed. So they brought in Coach Hill from St. John's. I think she's going to be good for them. She brings experience. She brings one thing, scouting. I think she definitely is going to help them in the American East as a conference opponent. They had 6 new transfers, all graduates, and now all experience. 6 grad seniors of all experience. Anna Blout, who was their best player last year, graduated. So it's going to be a little interesting to see who was going to be like the scorer, like the number 1, number 2, number 3 option, and that was something. As the game progressed, I posted this article on mdsportsblog.com. I want to reassure everybody this offense will get better. I think we were this notion that you're going to come out game one and be like this is that's not realistic. I think we were a bit panicking of the 2 of 13. Yes, Sailor and Allie were the only ones that made threes. But I appreciate that they changed their style of play from moving away from shooting threes and taking advantage of the post, and especially down low. I thought they were good looks. I mean, it's the first game of the season. If this was like game 10, game 12, I mean, we have an argument. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I can't sit here and like be, oh my God, like 2 of 13, because you're not going to see games like that. They'll get better. I will also say, and again, I understand it's the first game, but 22 turnovers.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
Again, first game of the season. I think some of it was nerves. And again, some of those turnovers were legal screens, traveling, and sloppy passes. And again, those things will get cleaned up. There's nothing to really be concerned about. That's on that side. UMBC scored 3 points in the fourth quarter.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
Now, when you look at this, when you look at the stats, and when you look, the Retrievers turned the ball over 25 times, and most of those turnovers were forcing them into multiple 10-second violations, backcourt violations. Those are basketball one-on-one things. That's communication. That's helping your player if they're pinned, help them. I did not see those things from them. And when you shoot a measly 25% from the field, you're not winning basketball.
How do you do that? How do you do that? What? And you got to be kidding me.
And then on top of that too, like I really could not tell like who was like their number one, number two options. I mean, I couldn't really find out like who was like the option. And I think that's something they're going to figure out as season progress. But I mean, they had no answers for man and zone defense. That's when I knew the game was essentially over, because especially at times, you know, Coach Freeze, I call it the Brenda special, which is essentially the four court press, and that definitely threw off their rhythm. You know, Sailor had a couple blocks, Sarah and Kaylee had a couple steals, Christina was all over the glass, and just was bringing it energy all the way. But holding UMBC to 32 points and 10 points in the second half.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
And again, like, it's a non-conference opponent, but yeah, that was something. I mean, it was a great win for us. It's more about on the UMBC side. I was expecting UMBC to be a little bit more, but like the second half, it just like the third, fourth quarter, it just looked like that's what it looked like to me. I'm not throwing shade. Kendall Walker obviously was out due to injury. She should be back out there soon. We'll get an update Friday with Coach Freeze and media availability. The one player I think that we need to give appreciation to is Amari. I'm really curious to see how we're going to use her. She is our tallest player. She's 6'6". So I'm curious how we're going to use her. And I'm kind of feeling that's going to be matchups, because respectfully, the 3 years that she was at UConn didn't get a lot of playing time. And I think she's going to find usage for her. In the second half, I mean, again, I think with Christine and Allie, again, I just think it was just matchups. But the rotations, I still don't think are truly defined. The starting lineup was Sarah, Shy, Kayleen, Allie, and Christina. And then it was Sailor, Bree, Mir. Yeah, they were the first three off the bench. Ava got in there. And I still don't think the rotations are clearly right now defined. I think let me see what it looks like against Coppin State, and then we'll have a conversation. But outside of that, it was a good win. It's the first game of the season. You know, the jitters out. You know, you got your family out to support you. And Maryland's like 45 minutes up the road from UMBC. UMBC is a good, decent little basketball program. They just haven't been the same since the 2022 season, and I think they're still finding that, trying to rekindle that spark from that run. So that is pretty much it for the UMBC game. We're going to take another break, and we're going to talk about Coppin State. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Before we get into the Coppin State preview, I wanted to also bring to your attention that two players will not be a part of the team this year. Isime Azimamadou is still recovering from an ACL injury. I think she's redshirting. I think this is good for her. She can focus on rehabilitation, get ready for 2025, 2026 season. Brianna Williams, freshman, is also redshirting. I definitely think, especially you have Allie, Christina, Mari. I think this is good for her to learn from them and continue her development. I think she's going to be big for us for next year. So great players, and I'm curious. I'm really excited to see what they will do. I do have a couple other pieces of tape for you guys. I'm going to play actually before we get into the Coppin State preview. I got some tape, some press conferences, media availability before UMBC and post game from UMBC. So I got some tape.
We're thrilled it's
And shout out to Ben Gaffner.
finally here, be able to get our start on Monday. And what an exciting week ahead. We have 3 games in 6 days, and, to be going on the road, especially for our first opponent, a local opponent. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Clearly a really tough game.
It was a good environment.
I've heard that it's going to be a
yes.
sellout. So you always love to be able to play in front of fans and have that energy and excitement in the building. And, just another element, having, Coach Candace Hill be her first first game as a head coach. She's someone that I respect and, has been in the profession for a long time. I know she'll have her kids ready to compete and battle for 40 minutes.
You can raise your hand for questions for Coach or Amari. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Coach, what's the mentality like sort of starting the season off on the road? What's that overall approach, and how does it differ from maybe starting off at home?
Yeah, you find out about your team quickly, how they're going to adapt to a road game and to, fans being against them that are in the stands. And it's a different element. It's not the comforts of Xfinity Center. But, we've got a lot of experience on this roster, players that have, played in a lot of road games. And so we're expecting that, they'll come ready to play.
Go ahead, Nathan.
There we go. Hey, Coach, good to see you. When you look at the 2 exhibition games, what was your overall takeaways from what you've seen so far with this squad?
We still have a long ways to go. I think you use those exhibition games to be able to kind of settle in, get the nerves, allow a lot of new players. Clearly, we know what our 5 can do that have been here before, but it's allowing players that haven't put on that Maryland uniform for the first time, whether it be a freshman or a transfer, get quality minutes to see what they can do. So I think you see a lot of great pieces. And for us now is just kind of getting, our roster connected, getting that, kind of rotations in play. And then we're going to be playing much better competition with the Division I level talent that we're going to see.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Amari, can you speak a little bit more to that, added chemistry level and how the exhibitions have maybe helped elevate that as, transfer heavy team, how the exhibition games sort of help elevate the chemistry level?
Yeah, like Coach was saying, everyone got some pretty quality minutes there. So you're in and out with a couple different groups. You're in and out with people that you may or may not be in with practice as much, and being in that live atmosphere where you can't go back, you can't stop and reset. I think that really helps to kind of see like what our in-game flow is. Fortunately for me, this isn't my first time playing with a lot of these people. I played with Chris before, I played with Ali before, I played with Mir, I played with Sailor. Obviously that was a little bit ago, so we've all developed quite a bit as players. So just being able to get the reps and get the minutes in live play is just really really helps a lot, especially with 2 exhibition games. I know most teams don't get 2, most teams get 1. So those 2 exhibition games really just helped us start clicking. And like Coach said, we still got a ways to go, but we're getting there.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Good afternoon, Mari. Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Nathan Snell with MarylandSportsblog.com. Welcome to University of Maryland. Question for you. You obviously you coming from UConn. Just what are some of the things that you learned and you're working on in this year, and what have you seen? What have you learned about yourself so far within the 2 exhibition games?
I think I've learned that I have a lot to give for this team, and that I've had a lot to give, and now I'm given the opportunity to show that. And just knowing really like what my role is. I mean, it's obvious I'm the tallest person on the court, so using my height to my advantage, using it as an advantage, crashing the boards and getting rebounds, using it as an advantage to see the floor and seeing my teammates get open. We have a lot of great people that can cut and dive, and just figuring out how to work with all them and figuring out what the rest of my teammates like, what they don't like, if they like the ball screen, if they like the pitch and catch, if they like certain things on the court, which side they want to go to. So I think those are probably some of my strengths right there, is just figuring out how to play with my teammates, because if we can figure out how to play with each other, everything falls into place for yourself. So.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Mari, what's been some of the key focuses in practice on the rebounding, and how much of a luxury, how nice is it to have players on the outside that can dump it into you? And then what's been the focuses of you and others down low trying to get those rebounds, now moving into D1 play?
Yeah, I think the biggest focus is just being aggressive and finding your man. I mean, people are flying in from all different places. So, I mean, that's something big that we're working on, is first finding your man, not just going and looking up at the ball as it's going to the rim. It takes discipline to go look, find your man, or not even if it's yours, find the next closest person and make sure they stay out the paint. So I think that's something that we're definitely working on, is just being aggressive and having the discipline to go get and keep them away from in the paint.
Go ahead, Nathan.
This question is for Coach Freeze. Coach, just with Emma, we've seen the flashes last season before injury. Just what's her status coming into this season?
Yeah, she's progressing well with her rehab, not cleared yet. So, hoping that we'll be able to get her back, but haven't gotten a timetable.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Anything else? Oh, go ahead, Ben. Last one.
Last one for me here, just for Coach. Are there any other injury updates ahead of the opener from some of the players that were out in the exhibition games?
No, I mean, they're still day-to-day kind of working through those.
Great.
All righty. And next I'm gonna play the UMBC post game. This one was the in-person media, so if you can't hear some of the questions, I do apologize. And I will have this posted on the YouTube channel, so definitely be patient with that.
All right, we have head coach Brenda Freeze, Cheyenne Sellers, and Christina Dalsey. Coach will start, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes.
Well, I think you saw, first game of the season, especially the first half. I thought we had to work through some kinks, nerves, and then foul trouble. So, definitely was officiated really tight. So we had to, with so many players in foul trouble, had to adjust and kind of regroup at halftime. So proud of our response. I thought the, second half, a lot more poise and composure. Offensive rebounding was key. Plus 30 on the glass, being able to get that inside presence. I thought our transition, and then I thought putting a much better solid second half together when we had everyone available to play.
Questions for the student athletes?
There you go. Coach Christine, how's the process coming along? First game, still trying to learn each other. Second half looked great. I'm sure you guys would say probably some unforced errors, turnovers wise. Just how's that feel, and how's that process coming along, obviously, early in the season?
Yeah, I think it's coming along great. Obviously, you can see that we play with a lot of joy. We care a lot about each other. There's things that we want to clean up. Obviously, the assist to turnover ratio is not great.
But that just comes with time. We have a lot of new pieces, and we're just trying to figure out how to blend them. But I mean, this was an exciting start for us.
Yeah, I totally agree with Sean. I think it's all a part of the process. And I think that's what makes the process fun, that like we're not at our top performance, but we're just gonna continue to build and build. And then once we get there, it's gonna be like game changing. And I think that like when we make errors, I think that we have such great community, like we have such a great connection as a team that like we just talk about it. And I think that was the big thing from the first half to the second half, that like at halftime we were able to talk, like the coaches gave us time to talk to each other and we were all on the same page. So for a successful second half. Second, this. There we go. Yeah.
Question for Cheyenne. This is now your 4th year with Maryland. What do you see in this team? I know it's early, but what do you see in this team that's different from teams prior?
This team just so different. We have a lot of depth this year. We can really kill you from anywhere. So I think that's just our big, like we're just so versatile that I think we're a mismatch nightmare. I have a lot of players that can slide to any position. So, I think our depth is our biggest weapon this year.
Speak a little bit more of that depth. All 11 players scored at least a bucket today. How much of a luxury is that, having players on the floor at all times that can score a bucket?
Yeah, I mean, we saw last year the wear and tear it does on your body playing 40 minutes, night in and night out. And then if you look back to my sophomore year with Diamond, we were averaging around like 25, 27 minutes. And that's where you want to be at. The longevity of that season was just amazing. And you get to go further because your body feels more refreshed.
Hey, they Rob Knox from the next. Question for both of you. How challenging was it to obviously you have been over last year, now you're here. Was it an adjustment? What was the adjustment like for you, and how challenging is that? And well, I'll let you answer first, and I'll.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think at first it was very tough, very much last minute. But I think that the coaching staff and my team like did such a great job since the official visit, just making me feel welcomed, and like just me ended up being myself, and they helping me navigate on and off the court, the campus and the system. And I feel like they've done such a great job of like just even encouraging me to learn a new system, because learning a system for 3 years and then trying to learn a completely new system for your last year is pretty tough. But even though it's not even just me, I think that even the returners have done like really their best to put like me on their shoulders and just elevating me.
And then, I had the second part there. And then obviously as a veteran, how much fun or challenging is it when you're getting new teammates and you have to, acclimate them to the wrong way, but even learn how to play with them?
Yeah, it's easy with this group. I have a lot of fun. They're open to learning. They're quick learners. So it hasn't been too difficult with them. They make life pretty easy.
Seeing that, Coach Paul, nerves and kinks. I know you guys did these preseason games, but what's really tested about the chemistry of this group when the lights come on? It looked like there was some issues in the half-court offense, maybe in some of the second quarter zone defense.
I don't know. Me personally, I didn't think there was any like issue. Maybe like first quarter nerves, but I feel like as an overall team, like we really knew what we needed to do. And I think coach did a great job in the first half, just talking to us like, okay, now, not the first half, sorry, the first media time. And like, okay, now we played, like, let's like do our thing. And even though like, yeah, it still took us some time, but like, I think we knew what we needed to do, and just getting adjusted.
Just to follow up, how much of a gel for this group is the transition game to like, once that got established, especially in the second half, that rhythm was kind of flowing?
Read that again, sorry.
Just what kind of salve or kind of, how much does it smooth things out when the transition game was able to go the way it was in the second half?
No, only okay.
Yeah, the transition.
Like how much is used on our offense?
Oh, it's a lot easier. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's a lot easier because it's just that like we're so fast, and once we're getting into it, it's just like we score and then we're already on defense. Sometimes it's like you don't even need to run all the way back, so we're already prepared. I think it just makes everything a lot easier. No, I'm so sorry.
And how would you say you guys defended today? Held them to under 25%, I think, in the field, and forcing them 25 turnovers. So like that was a strength for you guys. What did you see out there on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we did a great job defensively. We wanted to force them to go over our lines, and I think we did that. There's a couple of things that we can clean up on our end, but overall, I'm really impressed for the first game with our defense and a new defense at that.
Christina, the first half you struggled a little bit, but in the second half you really put on the pedal and outscored UMBC overall. Just what clicked for you after halftime?
I would definitely say it was my coaches and my teammates. I've been doing such a great job. Like I keep talking about, but they've been doing such a great job since shoot around. They've been telling me just to play, to have fun. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, and they've just been telling me to relax, and then they know my ability. So it was just a matter of like, yeah, I got a couple chippy fouls, but I didn't let that affect me going into the second half. And then with my team encouraging me, my coaches encouraging me, then it just made the game a whole lot fun in the second half. Yeah, please.
Hey, what was it? 2 for 13 from behind the arc. Was that just shots not falling? Did you like what you were getting, and it's just one of those days where shots didn't fall? And then also second half, was there more of a concerted effort to kind of go inside and use some of that length and size?
Yeah. Even in, when we got to the second quarter, because we had only shot 3 threes in the first quarter. When we went 0 for 6, it was emphasized then that we had the mismatch inside and needed to start. I think some of that, we had good looks. We were quick with the trigger and we were excited in first game, and normally we're going to knock those down. But I did like that we were able to kind of adjust out of that and get more of a presence inside, especially with the size that we had.
Coach, 23 points off turnovers. Can you talk a little bit more on the defense, the offense execution, how you guys were able to get that done? Yeah,
I thought that it was really good at spurts. Once we were able to get out of the foul trouble from the first half and we could really play, I thought our D to O, gave us a lot of great, easy opportunities.
Sure, 22 turnovers is more than you prefer to have, but when you kind of chalk that up to just first game, there are some execution problems.
I think when you look at games right now and that you're going to see here in November, you're going to see a lot of this. It's, we have 10 new players, and that chemistry is going to take time. So I do not like it, but I have to be patient within that process. Hopefully we can start cutting those down little by little. And then the more, a lot of these kids, they're coming off of injuries and haven't had a lot of practice time together. So just, being patient.
Hey, Coach, Rob Knox from the Next. And you alluded to it just a little while ago about just the patience piece, right? And you've been here 23 years. What's been the, for you as a coach, what's been the evolution of just understanding where the landscape is now with just college athletics and women's basketball in particular, with, like you said, you have 10 new players, maybe whereas 10 years ago, you would have maybe had like 3 or 4 freshmen and a whole bunch of returning upperclassmen. What's the challenge in that, and how have you embraced it?
Yeah, I think you're seeing everyone's rosters are turned over every year. So it's going to take longer within that roster to be able to form your identity. You're not going to have as many full rosters that are returning anymore like you used to have in the past. So that just takes time. I think that when you talk about the state of the game, I mean, you look at how many games now are being streamed and on television very first day, which has never been the case. So that's pretty exciting for the exposure of our game.
Right now you're talking about emphasizing the mismatch at halftime. Is that just sort of follow up on Rob's question? That's sort of one of those things that, deeper in the season when, your team has played a little more together, they'll just be looking for those entry passes.
Yeah, they will. They definitely will. They've been doing that in practice. Again, I think your first game, you're really excited. You want to perform. You got your family and friends in the stands, and you want to be great. And a lot of them were kind of taken out of that fold in the first half with the foul trouble. I had to kind of be cautious because I didn't know if it's like 42 fouls that were called. So I had no idea what the second half was going to look like. So, but credit, I thought we were able to regroup and gain our poise.
Basketball and college sports been shifting this way with the high roster turnover. Have you found yourself changing as a coach? I mean, you talk about needing more patience. Does it just feel a lot different than it did even 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, you'll be left behind. And you can see that with our roster with 10 new players. But out of that, with so many new faces, that's just going to take a lot more time between your practice as well as getting that chemistry and continuity in games.
You guys out-rebounded them 48-18 and 17-5 on the offensive boards. Can you talk about how important it is to get past the glass and really put back up shots and get second chance opportunities?
Yeah, it's a big advantage to who we are. It was an area we really addressed out of the portal. So being able to, that was an area we weren't as strong in last year. So, that's super encouraging when you have a game like we did tonight with the foul trouble and the 22 turnovers to be able to make it up in other ways.
Talk a little bit more about the movement of passing offensively and just how 1 through 11 down, everyone can score and pass and just find each other offensively.
Yeah, this is a really selfless group. I mean, you could tell, they when Ava got her bucket, then they were, fired up for her. You heard the chants on the bench. They started chanting defense in French because we have three players that speak French. So they brought, and they brought that to the bench. So you can tell it's a really connected unit that is really unselfish playing for each other.
Yeah, and just a quick follow-up. Can you talk about some of the differences in the first and second half approach and the execution in that second half?
Yeah, I thought we had a better post presence. I thought that was the big difference in continuing to get on the glass for those extra opportunities, and we stayed out of foul trouble.
What are some of the aspects of the game you're looking to clean up as you head back to College Park to play Coppin State in the league?
Yeah, turnovers clearly. I think getting our 3-point percentage back where it needs to be, and it will, and then continuing to attack to get to the free throw line. Thank you. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with all the sentiments. I mean, overall, again, it's the first game of the season. I'm not worried. This Maryland team will be just fine. I do just kind of look at the rotations. I don't think this will happen, but I expect some experimenting because clearly Sarah will be the point guard. Shai will be on the wing. The offense will run through Shai, but we have Kayleen, Christina, and that starting five actually can really surprise some people. I don't see any weaknesses in that starting lineup. The only thing is also the rotation off the bench. Again, we got to find Amari in there. Biggest thing is just matchups. Emma's not back yet from injury, as Coach Freese stated, and then Ava and Kendall, they'll get minutes in there somewhere. But no, I think really you could really see everybody really find a way to contribute. But again, game 1 of the season is in the books, and we're getting ready to face Coppin State. Maryland Thursday faces the Coppin State Eagles. They're 1-0 in the Mid-Eastern Atlantic Conference. Last year they finished 12-18, and they were actually 8-6 in the MEAC. Mr. Woods is this his third year as a head coach, but it's his fifth overall as being part of the basketball program. The Coppin State has not been in the MEAC championship since semifinals was back in 16. They beat Maryland Eastern Shore in the first round of the Meek tournament. They did play Frostburg State. Angel Jones hit the game-winning shot. Final score was 72-70. Maryland played them an exhibition game, and we beat them by 50 points. Anywho, I'm gonna get off that. It's not us. It's I'm scratch that from the tape. Anywho, the biggest thing with Coppin State is they can force turnovers. They recorded in the first game 13 turnovers compared to Frostburg State's 10. They had 238 steals as a cohesive unit last year. They're not the strongest rebounding team. As you watched, Maryland out-rebounded UMBC by 30 more rebounds. And last year, you looked at Coppin State, I think they were like somewhere around 35. And they were out-rebounded by Frostburg State by 5 rebounds. So my keys essentially is I'm curious to see how we'll look against. And I think it starts with the post presence. I think you're going to see more dominating the paint. The starting lineup, I'm going to see what that's going to look like. I mean, she started Allie and Christina. And also, Christina, let me pick her last name off the floor as I dropped that. So I apologize for that, Christina. But Sarah, Kayleen, and Shy, I think that'll be the starting 5 right there. Could we see some experimenting? Maybe. But I think that same starting 5 we saw against UMBC will be just fine. The turnovers battle, I think we'll get better with the turnovers. Again, it's first game of the season, and you're going to see the mistakes. You're going to get to see all the jitters. But I think with cleaning up, making the adjustments, cleaning some things up, I think you'll see the turnovers come down. I think we'll be a little bit more efficient with 3-point shooting. I'm curious to see how we'll do with that. Really, I want to see how we can challenge them defensively. I expect us to play a lot of zone and man defense. Again, I mean, outside of Angel Jones, Tiffany Hammond, what she averaged, she's going to her sophomore year. No, she's a senior, excuse me. Last year, where she averaged 6 points a game. Who else? That's just one of them. Layla Lawrence last year stood out to me because she won Defensive Player of the Year, and she went all first team for the MAC conference. So I'm curious how we will defensively match them up. But I'm going to say the University of Maryland women's basketball team defeats the Coppin State Eagles. The final score is 75-46.
Guaranteed.
And the game is at home at the Xfinity Center. It'll be on the Big Ten Plus network. So if you have the app, ladies and gentlemen, definitely make sure you tune in that game. It should be a good one. I'm excited for this game. And yes, after that, then we have Duke on Sunday, and that should be a very, very interesting game. So that's all I got for you for this episode, and we're going to get into the one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Okay, so I have made a conscientious decision. I think this is for my mental health. For the next few months, I am removing myself from social media. This is a personal decision. I think it's best for me, especially I think where everything has kind of been so far this year for me personally. And I'm still going to be sporadically on my accounts, but I'm going to put more focus into perfecting this craft, this podcast, more time dedicated to sports blog, TeamNBSMedia. That's really just where my focus is. So if you don't hear or see me post as much or respond, I'm okay. It's just I feel like this is the best decision for me, and I hope that is respected, and I hope that others start thinking about that themselves, because mental health is important, and more importantly, I think especially after last night, I think that reinforced my decision. So yes. So again, you can still follow. So please consider subscribing to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Follow the Twitter, Maryland Sports Blog, TeamNBSMedia. You can follow me on Twitter at @1NathanSnell. Please follow me there. Again, MarylandSportsBlog.com, where you get all the Maryland content. TeamNBSMedia, that's where you'll get sporadic content of WNBA, football, college football from me. And that's about it. So thank you for tuning into this episode. I apologize for being long. Great way to start off for the Lady Terps. We're 1-0, and we are just getting started. So, ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, and subscribe. Route, peace. Stay out.
But they don't know, they don't know, they don't know. Nobody knows but us how we roll, how we roll. Nobody knows what we got but us, but us. Let them keep talking, let them believe that they know, 'cause they don't know, they don't know, they don't. Let them believe that they know, 'cause they don't know, they don't know, they don't. Let them keep talking, they don't, they don't, they don't. How we roll. Let them keep talking, they don't, they don't, they don't. How we roll.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I wanna thank you. All I wanna do is say thank you for everything.